Welcome to Texas in Color, where every shade tells a story. From the heart of the Lone Star State, host Ron Gordon spotlights the voices shaping our future. Leaders, artists, entrepreneurs, and everyday Texans making a difference. Real stories, real people, real Texas. This is Texas in Color.
All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It's been a while since I've been on Texas in Color doing things because, the political season is here, but it's going to be here next year. But a lot of people don't realize there's things going on this November 4th, if I'm right.
Yes.
It's another election going on that to see what. Let me introduce my guest first before I get started, because I get started, forget who I'm interviewing. I like to say Marissa-Ellen Patterson. I met her at, what was it, the fun something?
Cibolo Fun Run.
Yeah, the fun run. I met her out there. I said, "Hey, I need to get you on my show." Cause we started talking. I said, "Well, let me get you on the show so you could tell everybody what you're all about." But
Absolutely.
but before we get there, I was letting everybody know, like, I am a Bexar County election judge, and these off-season elections nobody goes out for, and which they should, because some of these are so important, and a lot of people don't realize that. I think this time around we're going for constitutional stuff that's
Yeah,
going on.
we have a lot of stuff too. It's like
Yeah,
different propositions for the school, mayors, places. I've been trying to tell people, like, make sure you register to vote. We were doing a big push for that because a lot of times these smaller local elections will come down to such a small amount. I mean, it really truly is like 10 votes can be the deciding factor between,
yeah.
a candidate. It is a big deal to make sure we're getting everyone registered and also out to the polling to get to vote.
And speaking about the register, we had our deadline, no, October 6th, not only to register, but if you have a change of address,
Correct.
you had to get those in. But I did find out something about that, and I'm pretty sure that I'm 99.9% right. It's that little bit that may be wrong, but from what I gather, as long as you're registered to vote, they do not turn nobody away from the polls to vote, even if you move in the county. And that was really not stipulated in the new bill that came out that voted on that. What it is, if you do go vote, and let's say you move tomorrow, you got a new address, as long as it's within that county, you can. But when you go in and vote and show that you move, it will be a provisional ballot.
I
So
was reading it online too.
yeah, so I just want to let everybody know, don't 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 let you be swayed because of that, because you think you're not able to vote. Yes, as long as you are, I'm gonna say it again and clear, as long as you are registered to vote, and if you move between now and November 4th within the county, you can still vote. So, did you hear anything different about that? It's about the same thing.
No, that was when I was looking online too. It was giving some of that information. But yes, please vote. Please get out there and vote. We have early voting too. So there's,
Yes,
if you want to beat the lines for November 4th, try to get in on early voting because it truly, like, every single vote matters.
it does. It does. Now we got that out of the way. So let's talk about you a little bit. You've been described as a dedicated leader with nearly 2 decades of service.
Whew, I know.
What inspired you for the commitment to public service work throughout the community?
You know what? I think it was just from being a child. So, I'm a military kid. My mom used to volunteer in the USO and take me along with her. So, I think that was just something that was instilled in me from an early age, is that service, and that's also my way to give back. I have a huge military family. My husband's still active duty, is getting ready to retire soon. My dad, my grandparents, my great grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, they've all served. And for me, this is my way to serve the community in this type of aspect. And so I've just always wanted to help others. I would say I've been blessed with a voice to advocate as well, and I want to use that in a positive way. And when I was growing up and in school, I was involved in student government too, and it's just always been a natural thing. So when I announced that I was running for Cibolo City Council just the entire community that I've built up my whole life is like, oh, of course you are, Marissa-Ellen. Like, this is just something natural for you to do. You've always been involved, always trying to, give back and help other people. And I feel that it's just now's the right time. I was like, oh, this is perfect. My place where I live is up for council election. I was like, great time to, perfect time to jump in.
Okay. So how has your experience working in a prevention operation, supporting military families, shaped your approach to leadership in Cibolo?
I think really because it's looking towards taking things in like a preventative type action. A lot of times okay, something happened and now we need to put money and resources towards that. But we really need to shift our focus and mindset to prevention. What are we putting in place? How are we being strategic to prevent certain things from occurring, especially specifically like within violence? And how are we supporting our police department, our fire department, our first responders, and making sure that we're giving them all of the resources and tools to be successful? And I'll tell you, in Cibolo, it's pretty lean. Like we need to look at how strategically, as we're growing, we're going to continually add and grow our forces first to continue the level of safety that we know and love having here in Cibolo. So I really enjoyed working in violence prevention. I think it does give me that different mindset, and it's looking towards things like a lot of people think, oh, specifically like police department tickets or responding to incidents, but it's also like how are we working for issues in our community like mental health? How are we working towards things like domestic abuse, child abuse? How are we working and coming together, partnering with our community partners and our community to prevent certain things like that from occurring?
Okay. Well, how do you plan to strengthen communication and transparency between local government and residents?
I think we need to meet our residents where they're at. And so that means that we need to tackle it through multiple fronts. One is sending information to the HOAs so that they can try to get on those Facebook pages, or one asking, hey, can you add us to your community Facebook page or Instagram page so that we can post and update the community? It's making sure information is being sent out in a timely manner. I did just see this week that Cibolo is starting to do a newsletter. I think that's great. I signed up for it. But we really need to make sure we're hitting it on multiple platforms, because maybe not everyone uses Facebook, maybe not everyone uses Instagram. They'd rather go on the website. They want a flyer sent to them. We need to make sure that we are sending out the message so that everyone, whether it's our brand new adults or it's our seniors, but every single one is getting the information, and also make it so that it's easy for them to get in contact with us. So like one of the things that I've been doing is I've actually gone door to door to the majority of the houses that fall within place 3. It's a lot of work, but there were people who said, we didn't even know we were in place 3 because, Cibolo was rezoned a couple years ago. There were people who were like, I don't know who our representative is. I don't know how to get in contact. And it's making sure that we're bridging that gap so that we can truly have it set up. What are your concerns? What is it that you need me to advocate for and be your voice for in city council or when I'm out in the community, to make sure we're truly getting after what it is that our residents want? And then it's also letting them know this is why we're making some of the decisions that we are. Because, someone can be like, well, I'm upset that this is going on. What's happening? Let me give you some more of the details and information so you can understand why we had to make the decision we did. But this is what we're doing, working towards it getting better.
Okay. So, you emphasize listening to residents. What system or tools will you use to make sure every voice in Cibolo is heard?
I think it's going to be a multitude of things. So like right now, I've really been pushing out a lot of information through social media. So through my Facebook and through my Instagram, but I've also been going out places to meet people, to hear from them. So I think it's going to be a combination of that and asking like, where do you get your information from? I think running some sort of analysis or asking our community so that we know specifically where do we need to be targeting? Do we need to have more stuff on our website? Do we need to push more like mail out, or is it better to go through some of the HOAs? Now, I know not every neighborhood has an HOA, but it's trying to figure out what is going to be the best thing so that we can get that message out there so that we understand what's going on. I also like things like Coffee Connection and posting like, hey everyone, I'll be, at this place. Please stop by. I'll be there for 2 hours. Do you have any questions? Because I do understand that during the week can be really busy. We have city council meetings in the evenings. That may not be convenient for some of our families who are trying to get dinner on the table, or they're going to sports
Right.
events, supporting kids. There's lots of stuff going on. So I think having some of that is going to be important. Or, hey, this is where I'm going to be within the city. Please stop by. I'll be there for 2 hours. Let me know what questions you have, or just having it available so that they could message me anytime, and then I can work on getting back to them with whatever their question or concern is.
Okay, now let's talk about young people and
Okay.
new residents.
Mhm.
How can young people and new residents get more involved in shaping the future of their city?
That is such a great question. And I think one of the things is starting young and showing, like, maybe like modeling how younger people are getting involved. So starting um with our youth and making sure that they have a voice. So there is a youth city council, and it's how are we getting them involved into that, but also how are we supporting their different sporting events that they have, or community events or school events, and kind of being that representation and being out there and asking them, what is it that you guys want to do? Is there something in our city that we don't have that we would want for you? What makes you want to come back to Cibolo, after you may leave and go to college or go to the military or go out into the workforce? What's keeping you here, or what would keep you here? Those are things that we need to know, so that as we're working strategically, as we're growing, we're keeping that in mind so that we're building correctly.
Okay, so the way things are nowadays, because I'm gonna get to this point right here. You're a stone throw away from San Antonio, which is called Military City, USA.
Mhm.
And the way things are going right now, the government shut down and all this is happening, there are a lot of families out there that's going to be in dire needs. Just not too long ago, a few hours ago, they're starting to really lay people off and fire people,
All that.
and the whole scene is changing right in front of us on how we were here doing this, and then all of a sudden we got to buckle down and watch our spending. And
Yeah.
the trickle down effect from Washington down to Cibolo, it's going to be an impact that I don't think nobody's ready for, because people sat back for years saying once you got a government job, you're secure.
Yeah.
And so now it's showing it's not. So, are there any plans, even though you're not on the council yet, but we hope you get there? Do you know of any plans that will go into effect if this becomes longer than 35 days or more?
So I don't know of any current plans right now, but I do know, and I've think been around a lot, so I've seen like the last government shutdown we had was over 30 days. I think it was back in like 2012. So I know that these are things that we have been through, but it's making sure that we are working within our communities so that our military families and our and I consider like our civilians, they give too. They're very much so part of that family. They know what resources are available for them. So some of the things that I've seen are like online right now, because of everything that's going on. A lot of our churches and community food pantries are really trying to boost up so that they can help with some of the food insecurity concerns that people are having. If you're not getting a paycheck, how are you supposed to go out and pay and buy your groceries and support your family? And a lot of our people live paycheck to paycheck. This is a very serious thing. When today it hasn't passed, so Monday is a federal holiday. That means probably not meeting again until Tuesday, and next Wednesday is supposed to be payday for our
Mhm.
military of the month. So it's looking on what type of provisions and how are we working with our community for that. Are there certain grants that are available that we can apply for so that we can provide certain aid, or what are we doing as a city to help offset things or give some of those special provisions? Like we see some of the banking institutions are offering loans to their members to say, hey, we've got you covered. You're going to get your paycheck next week. And then when you get paid, you'll essentially like pay that back, but they're doing them at zero interest to try to help. So it's really looking at what resources and pushing that information out, and also pushing out some of the crisis information, because, money is a huge trigger for people, for mental health, for crisis. Your anxiety is going up. They're making sure that you have somebody also to talk to during this. And that goes into some of the violence prevention that I've worked. That can heighten things. You can get into more arguments or disagreements within your family, and we want to make sure that that's not happening, and that as a community we're coming together and really showing, hey, we're here to support you, and this is what we can do for that. And even if that means like when the government is open and like during those period of times, maybe we have to ramp up more with our food banks to be preventative in case something like this happens, so then they know that's another avenue that they have to use.
With that being said, I think this is how important local elections are. Because if we depended on the people in the White House for everything, we all be walking around with broke. So I'm just saying it. So this how important local elections are. People don't know how important it is, from city council to commissioner to school board and so forth and so on. That's important because we got to make sure that our local government is intact. No matter what's going on there in DC, we got to make sure we take care of our own, because when the money comes here, I don't know how it is there in your kind. The commissioner is the one that's divvy the money out to where it goes. And if you don't get no money in, you can't divvy it out. And when it's shut down, I'm pretty sure there's no money coming in right now from the federal government.
Yeah.
So we're just stuck. So local elections is important. So let me ask you something. I followed Dave Ramsey for a while when he talks about having a emergency fund. Do cities have emergency funds for a situation like this that happens? And if not, should they?
I don't know the amount that cities have. I know some of the boards that I've sat on, we've built in contingency funds in case something happens. And I will tell you, that was so vital to do that when COVID happened, we had something to fall back on during that time. And so I think it is important to build that in. It's also really hard because we have like, I went to the budget meeting. There's so many expenses for things, but it's something that we have to make sure that we are building into that to take care of our city and have some of that contingency planning funds, because you just never know what's going to happen. And you don't want it to have like, well, we can't do anything, we're strapped. So trying to be proactive and making sure that that is included in our budget and in our finances. And it's also explaining that to the residents. So I know like they just voted to increase the taxes here in Cibolo. It's minor, but some of that is still going to be very hard for some of our residents. And I understand that, but it's like we have to make sure that we do have enough police officers, that we do have enough fire department, we have enough of those resources that are available. But at the same time, how are we adding some of that in case there is some sort of disaster or something happens, that we're building that into a contingency. But again, that's making sure that we're explaining and breaking that down and having that transparent communication with our residents.
So how important do you think it is for people who say, for instance, well, y'all got money there, but they don't know what you're paying for? How important is it for the citizens to get in there and see that budget broke down all the way down to a parking meter, the most littlest things? See, a lot of people don't understand the budget because a lot of people don't do budgets anymore. I'm just gonna be honest with you. They like say they don't. Because when I was growing up, we was taught to do a budget. So how important is it to let the people know, well, this is where the money going to?
I
And
think it's
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Oh,
No,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, I think it's extremely important. And one of the things that Cibolo did is they actually had a town hall, and it was really neat. The city manager even broke it down. He's like, this amount of taxes, and he did it by each dollar down to pennies. He's like, 18 cents here, 20 cents here. He broke it down like that so that we could understand, okay, where is our money going? Where is our taxes going that we're getting in? But I think it's making sure that we're getting more community participation, but also like sharing that information. Now, I know a lot of this is posted online, but it's also letting people know where exactly, on the city website that they can access this information and they can get that so that they can be informed and understand where is it going. Because some people are like, well, I see, you're working on the roads over there, but what about our neighborhood? Why hasn't my neighborhood roads been redone? And one of the first things I did was I drove every single place in place 3 to see what are the roads like in here. I had my parents in the car, and my dad was like, okay, Marissa-Ellen, what are you gonna do about this neighborhood? He's like, this is very bumpy. And then the second thing was walking it when I was going door to door, so then I can see also firsthand and hear from some of those residents. And then it's working with, the people in the city and saying, like, making sure we're giving them the resources to be successful, holding them accountable to the timelines, but then also communicating. If something happens, part of a road collapses, that's going to have to take priority over, paving the neighborhood, but it's having that communication with our residents so they understand that and what's going on, but also them making sure that they have that faith that, well, we know Marissa-Ellen's advocating for us and she's, bringing this up again and again, like, hey, this, these roads need to be redone. Have you driven down that? Because your car is bumpy. You're hitting
Yeah.
the bottom if you're not going slow. And it's like, it's not even, it's like going so under the speed limit that's set in there, because if you're driving the speed limit, you're hitting the bottom of your car is hitting the road.
Yeah. So how, let's say, for instance, if residents want to get something done, is it smart for them to get people together and fill out their concerns and bring it to a city council meeting instead of having one by one going up there? They all get together and they all come up with their concerns and one person present that. Is that a better way of doing it than listening to 20 different people?
I think it's good to have all of them speak. Take their 3 minutes, because that is showing every single person is showing how important this is. And even if you can't show up, you can send it an email so then they can see how many residents is this a concern for. We've got 30, 40 emails on this, and we've got a council meeting full of people bringing this issue up. So I would tell everyone, take your 3 minutes and please be heard. It is so vital, because that is your opportunity to tell everyone on the council. And, these city council meetings are recorded. So that's online, and that's typed out minutes. So that's a record that can always be reflected on to show, this was a true issue, because look how many people came forward. So 100%.
Okay. So another question. What is, you think, the biggest hurdle for Cibolo to I guess accomplish or move forward on? What's some of the big things out there that's really a concern to all the citizens?
I think it's the growth, honestly, because we're growing so rapidly, but we need to make sure we're growing smart as well, because we need to take care of some of our crumbling infrastructure, the sidewalks, the roads, expanding sidewalks, making sure we're taking care of our parks. But we also need to make sure that we're attracting new businesses so that can bring extra revenue into the city so that we can take care of some of those issues. So I think as I was going around talking to people, that was a huge concern, was the growth. We're growing so fast, money's going different places, but we need to fix our road. Or why isn't there a sidewalk in front of Steele High School? We've got, and I moved here when both my kids were in high school, and I was like, what is going on? They're walking down the street to go, to the grocery store or to go grab food during their lunch break, or after school, they're walking home or walking to school in the morning. And I'm like, you're basically walking in the grass or kind of in the street, because there's no sidewalk there. And so I'm sure there was a reason for it, but my mind was like, why wasn't that a thought when the high school was being built to have a sidewalk put in right there? And so that's like some of the smart growth that I'm talking about, is how are we making the city more walkable? Or when we have these new businesses coming up, how are we making sure that they're building that stuff into it, and that we're also maybe holding them to a higher standard when we're developing, so that crumbling infrastructure, road issues aren't becoming a city
Mhm.
problem in a couple of years.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Whoever developed that high school out there, then developed sidewalks. I'm in my mind, I was say, these are kids walking. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
That should have been the what's in place right there.
Mhm.
So going forward, are they gonna ever get out there and do that?
So that was actually one of the questions that I asked when I went to the town hall, like the open town hall, and they said it's in the planning, but it's something it's like 3 to 5 years away. And so that's why I'm like, hey, when we're talking making sure that they're having the resources, I need to make sure that they have the resources and that we're holding them accountable to that timeline because that's a huge priority for me. I mean, by the time it's built, my daughter's already graduated from Steele High School. My son's a senior. It's not going to impact them, but it's going to impact future
Right.
that are going there. And so we need to make sure that things like that, that's what parents and young families care about, the safety of their family and making sure that they can walk to and from school or, if they're trying to walk to go grab some food during their lunch hour, that they can do that safely. So that's, it's not going to impact my kids, but I know it's going to impact others. And so that's why it's a priority for me.
So one thing that gets on my last nerve is when you ask something, say, we're gonna have a meeting about it. After that, we're gonna have another meeting about it. You have meeting after meeting after meeting. So when does the action comes in? After somebody gets hurt? It seems like when somebody get hurt or God forbid somebody lose their life, that's when they can step it up and work real fast. How come they couldn't do that in the beginning? That's why I don't understand. It's got to take some tragedy to happen before eyes open up before something is done.
Yeah, I think part of it is like timelines, one to make community aware and give them saying, okay, we're going to have a meeting, 30 days from now to give them time to come in, but also to run some of the data and analysis on it, which I'm really big on. I want to make sure that we are
Yes.
making decisions that are rooted in data and that we have analyzed the situation and really exploring all opportunities. So I know it can be a delay, and I think of it as like strategic and investments are long term. So some of those things are going to take a little bit longer than, unfortunately, if there is like a tragic event or something, we can work a little faster in that. So I understand that. Trust me, I'm a person who I'm like, okay, what's the holdup? And I have
Yeah.
mentors that told me, Marissa-Ellen, you just gotta we gotta wait this out. It's strategic, it's long term, and think investment. I'm like, okay, so I have to shift my mindset so that I can understand why are some of these things taking so long.
Which brings to this question. I understand when they say things take so long. We're doing things we did back in the 60s all the way to right now. How come there can't be any changes to speed the process up? It seems like we're doing the same old thing that we always do, and it's always say it's going to take time. I understand not only time, it's going to take money, but shouldn't be some new idea, fresh ideas coming in to speed the process up instead of doing the same thing we've been doing for decades?
Yeah, so I'm really big on like innovation as well. So not just, okay, we've always done this process the same way. So if you as a resident, you're identifying, hey, Marcel, this process is taking 3 months, it's kind of digging into it like, well, why is it taking 3 months? We're making people do steps 1 through 10. Are all those steps necessary? Can we reduce some of that? Can we bring it
Mhm.
down? So looking for like some of that continuous process improvement as we go. And then also, how are we leveraging technology? Technology is rapidly advancing. What are we doing so that we can take advantage of that? And can that help us be quicker? Can we use some of that automation to help reduce some of our timelines or to make better decisions? And so it's working, I think, with some of that too. But it takes making sure that we have the right people who have those skills and that knowledge coming together. Because what do we do sometimes? We can fear change. And a lot of people out there have a certain feeling about AI as well and utilizing that.
Mhm.
I just I did my second master's in military operations, but my specialization was data science and AI leadership. Why? I didn't understand a lot of AI. And so I was like, well, I don't understand it. Let me go learn about it and really get into the nitty gritty so that I can utilize this, but then also so that I can use my voice to kind of explain that to people and maybe reduce some of that fear so that we can
Yeah.
see how this is something that we can leverage and use to reduce timelines, to reduce some of the automation, and also some of those lower level tasks, so that those people who that we're paying to do their jobs can focus on some of these higher level tasks that really take time to think through. Let's get them working on that and get some of those tasks that we can automate out of the way from them to free up time for them.
Okay. All right. Now, in closing, we're going to see, we brought you on here to talk about you running for city council and stuff. We went all over the place, which is good. It is
I love it.
good. You're showing that you're transparent and you're willing to talk about it. And that's what we need. So this time is yours now. I want you to tell everybody um, whatever you're running for, why you're running, and how they can vote for you, how they can contribute to your campaign. So it's all on you now.
Oh, thank you. No, you know what? We have just been so blessed, and we had a lot of people when we were trying to figure out where do we lay down roots. Our military families and friends were like, Cibolo is going to be a great community. And so that's what we were looking for, something that, after living all throughout the United States, living overseas, that our kids would be able to adjust into a great community, great schools. And that is exactly what we found here. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm running, so that I can make sure that I can be an advocate, I can be a voice, so that we keep our small town charm, but also so that we're growing in a sustainable way, we're growing in a smart way, we're looking out for each other. So that's really the main things that my campaign is focused on: smart, sustainable growth, safe and connected communities, and really transparent communication and innovative thinking, like bringing that all together, really making sure our community is connected together. I would say, so I'm on social media. It's Marissa-Ellen Patterson, or Marissa-Ellen Patterson for Cibolo City Council. You'll be able to find me on Facebook or on Instagram. I'm usually posting different topics on there, or different places that I've been volunteering or speaking at, what we have coming up. We do have early voting October 21st through the 31st. So please make sure that you get out and vote then. And if you can't make it out during early voting, then on election day is going to be the best thing to do. And I would just say, I am grateful for this opportunity to be running, humbly ask for everyone's vote so that I can be out there being that voice for you, being that advocate for you, making sure that you're staying connected, and looking out for the residents of Place 3 in Cibolo.
All right. I love that. So you got everything there. So we appreciate you coming on. It was such a pleasure talking to you, but also the way we met. I think the event was ending and you was walking around the corner of the track, and I mean, we just locked eyes, just started talking.
Yeah, no, it was so nice. It was so natural. Yeah, I was like, look, I was, volunteering, doing registration, and they're like, Marissa-Ellen, you've been here the whole time. Go out and go meet and talk with everyone. I was like, okay, going around, and then I think I was trying to request a song.
Yeah, that's right. You sure were. Because you made a beeline around the corner, came straight to her. I said, uh-oh, what did I do?
I'm like, can I request this song, like some sort of dance song, so that everyone can come together?
And I said, sure.
Yep. And then we were talking radio, and I was like, oh, I love this. And, when I worked in marketing years ago, I did a radio segment on Fridays with a host, and it was just such a blast. So thank you for having me. I was like, oh, I'd be honored to be on your show. I love stuff like this.
So the next time I want to talk to you is when you become the next city councilwoman.
Oh, I think that would be fantastic. I cannot wait till that.
Yeah. So until then, thank you for coming on board, and you have yourself a blessed weekend.
Thank you, Ron. You as well. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching Texas in Color. Please tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so you'll be notified each and every time we go on live.